Today, I'm going to be explaining to you why the Zuko vs. Azula AGNI Kai at the end of Avatar The Last Airbender is one of, if not the best, fight scenes in movie/TV history. Hey, what's poppin' guys, it's the Boss of Venom here, and as the intro and literally everything else implies, we're going to be talking about Avatar The Last Airbender. Specifically, the ending battle between Zuko and Azula. Now, there's tons of reasons why it's a great fight scene, but I know what some of you might be thinking. The best fight scene seems a bit far-fetched considering that we live in an age where superhero movies are plentiful and breaking records every time a new one comes out. And yes, while these fight scenes in the movies may be flashy or make you want to get up there in the fight, or scream into your television hoping that the protagonist will power to the fight, I think superhero movies have great fight scenes, but if a movie or show has fight scenes just to have fight scenes, it can get kind of boring. Avatar was always able to bring something new to the table when it comes to their fight scenes, because in every season there would be a new element to play with, or literally just invent a new bending style like Toph because she just doesn't care. Anyway, I'm kind of beating on the bush, but I do really love this show. But this AGNI Kai between Zuko and Azula is miles better from any fight scene we have seen on the show. Sure, it may not be as high stakes as the one between Aang and Phoenix King Ozai, which is literally happening at the same time, but it makes the story come full circle, and it really helps the character art of Zuko also come full circle. So Zuko and Azula are siblings, and as such they're going to have a pretty intense sibling rivalry, especially because the mother prefers Zuko as her favorite, while the father prefers Azula as his favorite and protege. It even follows on to who they look up to the most. Zuko looks up to his mother because she offers him compassion, while Azula looks up to her father because he offers power. Now, I know the name of the parents of Zuko and Azula, but it makes more sense for me to call them as their mother or father, for you to remember even though most of the family is awful, they are just that, a family. As seen in the beach episode, Azula first denies that anything is wrong with her, and that her life is perfect, but she later reveals that she's pretty much like this way because of her mother, because she knows how her mother perceived her, and didn't think highly of her as she did Zuko. Azula is a complicated character, even though on the surface, she likes people to fear her, when in reality she's the one who's most scared all the time. There was this one quote I heard a long time ago, and I don't really remember exactly how it goes, but the point of it was, if you put fear into others constantly, then you're the one that fears the most, meaning you're the one that is always afraid. And I do think this is exactly what's happening with Azula. Once her brother, then eventually her friends, turned on her, she starts to go insane and crazy and everything else that we see in the show after her fallout. Even when receiving the thing though she once wanted most, which was to be the Fire Lord, she still is confused and crazed as she doesn't know how to deal with everything that she is feeling, so instead she forces pain onto the servants or whoever's around her in the palace, judging them and nitpicking their every mistake and even banishing like most of them actually. Thing is, and this is the kicker here, this could have easily been Zuko if it wasn't for their uncle Iroh. Because remember, in the beginning of the story, Zuko was so obsessed with capturing the Avatar and restoring his honor when he often let that hatred cloud his judgment, and that's basically what we see Azula going through this at the same time. So Uncle Iroh is probably one of the most important and beloved characters in Avatar, and plays the biggest role and influence in Zuko's character arc. But what if? When everyone originally thought that the Avatar was dead, but Zuko still chooses to stay in the Fire Nation and be the quote-unquote perfect prince, then that might have been him going insane with guilt and a ton of other emotions crashing on top of him all at the same time. My whole point here is he could have easily been in Azula's shoes too. But we all know that Uncle Iroh is the one who basically saves Zuko and showed him to the light, which is great, but the final battle depicts this perfectly. And the way they do this is really subtle, and you probably wouldn't catch it the first, or even 4 or more times after you watch that scene. But me being the Avatar nerd that I am, I've definitely watched that scene more than 4 times. But the part where Zuko changes his footwork when he's being pushed back by Azula, and he moves his foot, changes his stance, and eventually, from then on, begins to win the fight. To me, this is a direct callback to the Zuko vs. General Zhao AGNI Kai, where Zuko was initially losing to Zhao, but by his uncle saying,
"Basics, Zuko, break his root,"
he's able to find the opportunity to literally knock Zhao off of his feet. And for the rest of the fight, Zuko does this. You see Azula moving around everywhere while Zuko stays grounded in one central area, and lets Azula literally go to him. It's just a clever way to call back to the person who was there for Zuko all the time, and essentially his only father figure that he had who actually cared about him. It just goes to show that Zuko was listening to his uncle's teaching, even when he was arrogant and still fed up on catching the Avatar and regaining his so-called honor, even though we all know that's not how he regained his honor in the show. So we all know that Azula is a powerful bender, maybe even one of the most powerful firebenders of her time. We know Zuko has paled in comparison to Azula every time they have fought before in the series. Azula has always been the one who was fighting with confidence, while Zuko was fighting with anger. But this time, in this ending fight, when Zuko ends up winning, the tables are turned. Zuko is the one fighting with confidence as he finally knows where his place in the world is, while Azula is the one fighting with anger because she's more confused and pissed off than ever. The choice to make it an Agni Kai, so basically a 1v1, with Zuko and Azula makes it way more satisfying than to seeing Zuko and Katara take her down with relative ease. It's just a simple little part, but it adds so much more value to the fight you're watching because Zuko's entire story arc has been about honor. And an Agni Kai win is basically saying you have more honor and can fight better than your opponent. Azula, in contrast to Zuko, has always had her honor and knew who she was, but by attacking Katara blindsided in the Agni Kai, which, like stated before, one of the most honorable traditions in the Fire Nation, is just dishonorable, and turns the tides once more because Zuko sacrifices himself and jumps in front of Azula's lightning bolt to save Katara. Now this little ending part right here is huge, because when Zuko jumps in front of that bolt to save Katara, I think this is when he truly regains his honor and becomes a true hero. He selflessly jumps in front of it and doesn't even seem to second guess it at all. I'm only mentioning the scene. I'm not talking about this episode, just the scene in particular. It has an entire range of emotion. You're at the edge of your seat at first because we really don't know who will win, because she appeared to wipe the floor with Zuko every other time. But then you're full of amazement over the amazing visuals, and the back and forth power struggle makes you feel almost uneasy. Then at the end, it hits you with the intense shock. Get it? Lightning pun? Okay, moving on. The show just directly hits you with this intense shock and sadness because Zuko takes a direct hit from the lightning, which seems to be fatal every other time a character is hit with it. It even gives us more suspense because we see Zuko trying to help by reaching out, but he can't, and we, the audience, are sad because this might be the death of a beloved character, but at the same time, you're scared for Katara because now she has to face Azula alone. Eventually, obviously, Katara does defeat Azula by trapping her in a block of ice and locking her down to the drain, and then immediately rushes to help Zuko and bends her water onto her healing hands to save Zuko. And at this point, the audience finally knows that it's over and they can rest. Then, the camera pans back to Azula, who starts crying and just going insane. And like before, you may think it's because she lost, that she starts freaking out, which very well could be, but I think it's more than that. I think it's deeper than that. I think it's because Katara could care less about Azula. She sees Zuko, who just saved her life, and rushes to go help him, without even giving her a second glance. I think seeing that Zuko ended up going down the right path and ended up with actual compassion instead of a thirst for power is what made her break down and start crying. And when you actually think about it, it does make a lot of sense, because in the mirror scene where it shows that she truly does care about her mother and what she does think, and this is eventually what leads her down the path of insanity. And I think just seeing another person have genuine compassion for Zuko is just what made her lose it. Also, one more little thing, and this could be regarded in... It's not the biggest detail, but it does make a big point. So, the music in almost this entire scene isn't energetic or the type of music to get you on the edge of your seat. It's more of a sad tune. And when you watched it as a kid, you were probably confused as to why that is, but it really shouldn't be happy in any way, as it's literally a fight between two siblings where you know one of them has to walk away and the other doesn't. When I put it to you that way, now you get why the directors and writers decided to choose sad music, don't you? It's such an expertly crafted scene, and as much as I would have loved to see another season, I think it's honestly just the perfect way to end the series. Okay, so this is the end of the video, and that was a bit different, and if you're a returning subscriber of my channel, let me know what you thought of this video, and if you're new around here, then you should definitely smack the subscribe button, and let me know if you think that this is the best fight scene in history, or just an Avatar: The Last Airbender. I would love to hear your thoughts, so make sure to let me know in the comments down below, and I do read, like, almost all my comments. I don't think I haven't read a single one or missed a single one in like years. So I do read all my comments and appreciate all of them. So I love you. Hopefully you did enjoy this video enough to press like. And if you like gaming videos, I have tons of that on my channel, so you should check all of that out. Anyway, hope you had a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys. It's the Boss of Random. See you later.